We're going to start with our Newsmaker segment and focus on the Republican Party in the Show Me State. This is a happy time for Missouri Republicans. The governor is a Republican, and both houses of the state legislature are dominated by Republicans. But nothing, as we know, is guaranteed in politics. Parties are always thinking about and preparing for that next election. So what does that involve? Who does the work? Where does the money come from? To discuss all that, we welcome the new chairman of the Missouri Republican Party. Todd Graves is a former two-term Platte County prosecutor. He also served as U.S. Attorney for the Western Division of Missouri in the Bush 43 administration. He's now in private legal practice in Kansas City with the Graves Garrett firm. Mr. Chairman, welcome to Ruckus.
Thanks
for coming in.
Glad to be here.
So how does one become the chairman of the Missouri Republican Party? Do you get appointed or do you have to run?
Well, a little bit of both. The state committee elects the chairman, but by tradition, the governor of the party in power selects a chairman, and the state committee approves that, and that's what happened to me.
You've only been in this job for a short time. I think you took the job in December, but you've been around politics for a long time. You were a presidential appointee, as I mentioned in the opening of the program. Your brother Sam is a U.S. congressman from Northwest Missouri, Missouri's 6th congressional district. So you've been around. What do you see as the role of the Missouri chairman?
Well, I think the role is different when you are the party in power, which the Republicans are. My role is the agenda, supporting and defending the agenda of the governor and the legislature. The governor has some very clear goals that he's trying to achieve, and that agenda will be. It's not only a legislative victory, but there are also initiative and referenda and other court battles to come, I'm sure, over some of the things that we'll get passed.
Right to work is one possibility.
Right to work, certainly. Tort reform, right to work. There have already been initiatives and referenda filed on that. And so that's something that'll play out over the next many months.
Don't you have to get involved in fundraising?
We do a lot of fundraising. We spend a lot of time in St. Louis. Certainly a lot of the fundraising comes from there, and national fundraising and all over the state, Springfield, Cape Girardeau, many small towns in between. As
we were talking, I was born in St. Joseph, grew up in Missouri, and it seems to me in years gone by, the Republican Party wasn't that dominant in Missouri. It was sort of a 50-50 split. People would look at Missouri as a bellwether state. But in recent years, it seems the state has become dominantly Republican.
It's become much more so. I have that same tradition. I grew up north of St. Joe in a rural community, and my great-grandfather used to give silver dollars to the grandkids, and when they put Eisenhower on the silver dollar, he quit handing them out because he was such a Democrat. So I think our family story is sort of the story of much of Missouri, where people have, for various reasons, have migrated toward the Republican Party.
Well, right now, the Republican Party holds 4 of the 6 statewide offices, 1 of the 2 Senate seats, 6 of the state's 8 seats in the U.S. House have a supermajority in both houses of the Missouri legislature. But in 2018, Claire McCaskill, Democrat, U.S. Senator, is on the ballot. People thought she was in difficulty in 2012 until Todd Akin, her opponent, made an inappropriate remark about self-induced abortions, I guess. Is she vulnerable this year?
Sure,
or next year?
She's vulnerable. But, you know, as the party chairman, I know there's an old saying, it's never as good as it seems and it's never as bad as it seems. And it's that way here. We're going to have to put up a very strong effort for the auditor's office and the U.S. Senate office. I think the current U.S. Senator, Claire McCaskill, is in a vulnerable position, but it's not going to be easy to take her out.
Do you have any names of Republicans who might be interested in that Senate seat?
Yeah, interested, about 100.
Can you share them?
About 100. About 100 names. Everybody's interested.
Anybody that you can mention we'd all recognize?
You know, in sort of in modern times, people that end up winning primaries are people that run and gather the support. And you know, it's a wide open primary, and I don't really have an opinion right now as to who that candidate should be. We want to have a strong candidate who's a strong conservative and has a fundraising potential.
How long do you expect to be in this job?
I don't know. It's a volunteer job, and I have a law practice and a family and other obligations. But this is an important time in the state for conservatives like me, and I really enjoy it. I like being part of it, and as long as I think I can help move the needle, I'm going to be involved.
Give me a very quick answer to this, if you would. You're a
Okay.
former U.S. attorney.
Yes.
You're a lawyer. Jeff Sessions has just been selected to be, confirmed to be the U.S. Attorney General. Do you think he's competent? Do you think he's qualified? Do you think he'll do a good job?
Oh, absolutely. And also, he's a former U.S. attorney. Chris
Right.
Christie, many of those folks were once U.S. attorney. Jeff Sessions will be a great attorney general.
All right, Mr. Chairman, thank you very
Thank
much
you.
for coming in. Appreciate your time.
All right, thank you.
That is Todd Graves, the new chairman of the Missouri Republican Party. Now let's meet the panel and start a ruckus.